Hi and welcome back to the next lesson. In this lesson we're going to choose this scan of a color positive print. So this is a scan of an old print and this picture was taken quite a long time ago. It is, let me guess, about 15 to 20 years old, I'd say. Now what you can see here is that the image has discolorations, so the snow in the middle is looking slightly magenta-ish, and that also at the bottom of the image the contrast has a strong fall off. What we also can see is that the image is not really super sharp, and we're gonna do something about this. So what are our tasks for this image? We're gonna do the following things. The first thing we're gonna do is sharpening the image. The second thing we're going to do is correcting the color issues in this image with the HSL layer. And I'm going to introduce you to the developer zoner again to partially enhance the contrast. So let's start right in. Now the first thing we're going to do with the image is sharpening. Because I always wanted to show you the before and after, I go and I duplicate the layer now. For duplicating the layer, select the layer you want to duplicate in your layer panel. Go to the three dots in the upper left here and say duplicate. Great. Now let's zoom into the picture a bit. Now I already showed you the high pass sharpening method. This time I want to show you the unsharp mask method. Therefore we now choose our filter menu, sharpen, and say unsharp mask. Nothing is really happening here. Let's bring everything down to 0. As before, I recommend you to use a radius around about 3.6 pixels or 3 pixels or 4 pixels in this case. So let's choose the radius first. Let's choose 4 pixels, that's okay. As you can see, the image is really unsharp. So the radius, let's choose you the pixel radius of sharpening. The factor is how much you want to sharpen it, and the threshold is, well, kind of the decision on when to kick in, so when the effect should take place, or how strong the effect should take place, or in which image areas. I will not use the threshold slider on analog photos, since this usually turns out very crappy. Okay, now let's raise the factor to about 20%, something between 15 and 20%. And we introduced quite a lot of sharpening. Just in case you can't see it or you don't see the difference, you can hit split. And now you can slide to see the before and after. Now you can see there's quite a huge difference between our before and after. Okay, but I want to sharpen it quite a bit more. I want to overdrive this here so you can see the sharpening a bit better on the screen. So let's go to 23, but that's enough. So now we have a definitely sharper image. Hit apply. Great. Now let's zoom out of the image and let's focus on our other problems now. I now want to reduce this magenta color cast in the image. There are different ways for removing color casts. You could use the auto levels, or you could use HSL or the other two tools I showed you in the beginning. Using auto levels won't work in this image, since it has different color casts in different positions and different areas of the image, and usually the result won't be that good if you have a situation like this. That's why I'm gonna recommend you to use the HSL layer. So go to your adjustment layer panel and choose HSL, which stands for Hue, Saturation and Lightness. Now tap the ranges button and choose magenta, or the pinkish thing here right at the end, that's magenta. And now bring the saturation quite a lot down and you will see how it disappears from the snow. So I introduce a lot more so you can see the difference, and here there's nearly no magenta anymore. I'm not gonna remove it completely, I leave just a little bit. Otherwise the snow will look black and white, which is also not realistic. Now go to the blue and also remove some of the blue out of the image. There's too much blue going on here. So remove the blue quite a lot, but not too much, about minus 50%. Cool. Since there is a blue sky and the snow is reflecting blue light, it should be a little bit of blue in the image. That's okay. Do the same with the cyan, but remove it even less, like minus 30%. Great. That's wonderful. Next thing is remove some of the green tones, but only some, because we have some greens going on at the image corners. Great. Now do the same for the yellows, but not too much because we have yellow in the cat and in her jacket. Great. And now take a look at the reds. So we shouldn't mess with the reds too much, since obviously her skin color is determined by the reds, and if we remove the reds, she's gonna turn black and white. So, well, I'm nearly removed nothing of the reds, like minus 6. And that's absolutely cool. That's perfect. Wow. Okay. Now let's go back to our layer panel and see what we did so far. We sharpened the image, and we used the HSL layer to remove most of the color casts. Now we have a nearly neutral image. The next thing we want to do is repairing the contrast at the bottom and the top of the image. Therefore, I'm changing into the develop persona. But before we're going to do this, I create a new merge layer. So, go here and say merge visible. Great. Now let's go into the develop persona. Inside of the develop persona, I do the following thing. I first hit this little, well, color wheel tool here on the right. And then I choose the gradient tool here on the left. Now I paint a gradient here, nearly up to here. Great. We did not crop the image yet, but that's okay. That's why I put it a little bit higher. Okay, now go and raise the contrast to the right until you like the result. Don't go too far with it or you're gonna destroy some of the shadows. So maybe go to 25% and raise this here up a little more, like so. Like here. And here, bring this more up. Great. What I did, I just moved the area that is affected more up, and I started it or made it stronger at the bottom. Great. Now go to the layers and create another adjustment layer, another gradient layer by hitting this sign here. And do the same at the top, like so. Go back here and bring in some contrast. But here, definitely not as much, just like so. Great. And what you can see is there now still is a slight color cast at the bottom and at the top. I wouldn't do something about this, to be honest, because usually you're gonna mess things up. But we can try it. So this is a yellowish color cast, so we could try to bring in some blue, but not too much, only some. Nearly nothing. And do the same at the bottom. So to activate the bottom layer again, go back to the layers panel, choose the first gradient overlay, go here, and also go in with minus 7 or 8, but not too much. That's great. We leave it like this. And now hit develop. Now let's have an overall look at the picture. Go to the layers panel, deactivate all layers but the bottom one and the upper one. And now turn it off and back on again. And in my opinion, this is a quite strong enhancement. Okay, but I also can see some things that I don't like. So first things first, the cat lost some of its color. And also her trousers lost some color. So what we're gonna do is the following thing. We're gonna create a pixel layer now. Hitting the plus sign and say pixel layer. We're going to the pipette tool on the left, the color picker tool. And we're gonna choose the blue of her trousers. Let's raise the point here, 3 by 3, 5, 17 by 17 is good. So this is making an average of the color out of 17 by 17 pixels. So let's choose this color here. Great. Now use the brush tool, go to the color tab, and choose the color we've just created. And now make the brush way smaller. In my case, it's too big. We make sure that our opacity is at 100%. Make sure you're on your pixel layer. Change its name to color. And now paint with the color selected over her trousers. So in your case, you do not have this blue thing, this blue circle, but I have this so you can see better what I'm doing or where I'm using controls. So yeah, you won't be that distracted by this blue thing. Okay, I'm not gonna make a science out of it, it's just for the training. Here we go. The next thing we're gonna do is changing the blend mode from normal to color. And reduce the opacity to about 50 to 60%. And if you think nothing happened, well, check the before and after. Something definitely happened. The trousers now look way more blue again, and I like this quite a lot. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the cat. I create a new pixel layer. I use the color picker tool and sample an average color of the cat. Great. I choose the color, go back to the brush tool. Sorry, I said pen tool, that's fine. If that's wrong, it's the paintbrush. And now I also paint over the cat. So that's the quick way. Another way would be masking out the cat, but we're going to talk about masks a little bit later. That's why I'm not showing this to you right now. So let's do it this way, right here. Okay, now this looks quite funny, I know. Now let's change the blend mode again, which in this case would be soft light. Soft light is overlaying the layer to this layer in a different, well, way of calculating the image. So let's change this to soft light and strongly reduce this to about 20%. Yeah, I think that's way better now. Yeah. In this case, I prefer using soft light. Great. Cool. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is cropping the image. Choose the crop tool and crop the image. Because I do not like this ugly, loveless borders here. Let's bring them in, that's okay. And do the same over here. And I simply say apply. Great. So you see at the top we've missed something. So let's go back in and also take this out. Apply again. Okay, now I missed something at the bottom. You see, sometimes it's not as easy to work with this pencil thing here, with this Apple Pencil. But now we should have got everything like so. Okay, great. Now this looks super cool. Let's have a look at our overall before and after again. Therefore, we're gonna do the following thing. And I want you to do this as well, so you learn new techniques. Select all the layers, but not the background layer, the very first background layer at the bottom. And now hit this thing here, which creates a group. And now turn the group off and on, and you can see our overall changes. And again, if you do not like something about the colors, you can always go in with the techniques I showed you before and work on certain colors. For example, on her jacket, on the color of her jacket. You could choose the color. I think it's, in this case, it's a mix of yellow and red. And you could work on these colors with, for example, the color balance or the selective color layer. Cool. The next thing we're gonna do is we're having a look at a new tool. But before we're gonna do this, there is a small introduction with my lovely face coming up again. So our next tool will be for removing dust and scratches. And we have quite a lot of dust and scratches down on this image here. And I think that's also a good image to show you the principles of this tool. So see you in the next lesson.